Good morning, it's January 13th, 2021. I'm Kimberly Jolly from Fat Quarter FlossTube. We have a ton of new stuff to show you and what I have planned for Be Mine. So Be Mine is going to be a stitch along that I'm doing in February where I just sew all or stitch all of the things that I love from Valentine's Day. So right now I'm going to show you kind of what I have planned. We did do a calendar for you guys. So we actually went ahead and did the entire year. So you can fill in, and it's a free PDF, and you can download that from Fat Quarter Shop. And so it's free, and you just download it, and you can use that from any of the, what's it called? Right there, 2021 Fat Quarter Shop free downloadable monthly calendar. And so this is just one of them. And Denise filled out what I'm going to be doing each day. And so what I try to do on these sew-alongs is just do a little bit each day. And if I do a little bit each day, then that's how I get so much done. So this is what I'm doing. And I'm going to go ahead and show you my 10 projects that I have picked for February. And so I've broke those up from February 1st to February 28th. So the first item that I have is I'm going to put my monthly markings as part of this. So I'm actually going to show this twice. It's kind of two parts. So monthly markings is I'm doing this each month. I'm doing the border, then the inside, and then the outer border. So this is what I did this week. So you can see we've changed my colors. And we have a thread pack for that. I'm stitching on Venetian stone, 14 count Witchell, and I have my own colors here. And so this week, all I need to do is do the outer border, and kind of how that looks is here. So I'll probably just do like a little bit here. But then in February, this will be 3 days. It will be the outer border, the heart, and then the top and bottom of the border. So I'm incorporating what I'm doing monthly into my sew-alongs, and that is one of the ways that I get so much done. So this week I'll do the outside, and then this will be 3 sections in February. And again, I'm stitching on Venetian stone and Weeks Dye Works that we picked out. So that is my first feature from Be Mine Stitch Along. My second feature is Stitches from the Heart. So this is a free pattern. This is a free pattern that you can download, and I'm going to divide this, and the reason I'm showing the chart is it's a free pattern. I'm dividing this into 4 different days. So top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, and on February 2nd, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, I'm going to stitch this with you guys, and I'll come up with a way to make it kind of efficient. I haven't exactly figured out how I'm going to do it yet. I'm going to stitch mine on 14 count antique white from Witchell. I'm using the NPI silks, and I did leave one not on the floss biddies yet to show you how to untangle it. I will tell you I had a little bit of trouble untangling the silk, and I just used a label maker from home to label these as NPI. So super cute. And so you can join me on Stitchy Talk, and we'll see kind of how that works out. So that's 4 days, and this is the one that I left to untangle, and you can see that when you'll have to watch the video to see, but when you pull it out, they're like joined at the end, and it's really complicated to untangle. Maybe I'm just new at it. So that's the second project. The next one is going to be Just My Type, also from It's So Emma, but this one is a paid pattern. So it's going to be this pattern. And this is the fabric I'm going to use, which is Graceful Gray, 14 count. And I'm using color and cotton. The way that I'm going to break this up and we talked about it a little bit last week. I'm a little bit nervous about making it a full circle or a full heart. So I'm breaking it up into the left side, the right side, except that when I do the left side, I'm going to try to join the right side before I fill in to make sure that it does the full loop. And then I'm going to do the top as 1 week, like the paper of the typewriter, then the top of the typewriter, then the bottom of the typewriter. I do think this one is pretty heavy intensive because there's so much fill in. But like I said, if you outline and just fill in, it'll go a lot faster. So that's my third project. And I did show these last week, but I wanted to show everything that we're doing. The next one is Trucking Along February, which, oops, I haven't filled out my paperwork yet. So this, I'm in the Fat Quarter Shop Club. So you guys know how I break this one up. I'm doing this one a little bit different. This will be 1 day, and then 1 day will be the top, and then 1 day will be the sides, 1 day will be the truck, and then 1 day will be the rest. So I'm dividing this into 5 parts, and the thread is really pretty. So that will be 5 days. And then my next one is going to be also what I'm already in the middle of doing, which is our sampler of the months from Country Cottage Needlework. So I'm currently working on January. For this one, I am stitching on Beautiful Beige by Witchell, and each month, even in March, April, May, I'm doing the top, the middle, and the bottom as 3 different weeks or 3 different days. So I will be doing kind of the same thing that I already did for January. And that is number 5. And this bag has a lot of thread going on in it. And I have one of Lori's bitty boards, and then I have some thread in my bag, some thread out. That way I don't have to have a gigantic bag. And I think this little needle minder kind of matches, so cute. My next one is, this is a brand new pattern. It's called Be Mine. It is by Stitching with the Housewives, and of course I love it. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to make this one. This is so cute. So this is a brand new pattern. If you pre-ordered it, it's shipped to you the first part of this week. It is a paper pattern. It will be available as a PDF in a few months. So I love this. And of course, I'm going to do this on Chalkboard Black by Witchell. And on this one, I think I'm dividing this into 4 parts. So I think what I'm going to do on this one is do all the white 1 week, do the hearts 1 week, and then maybe the top of the house and the bottom of the house. This one is a lot of stitching, so this one will probably hang me up a little bit. You know, some days you pick easy stuff, some days you pick hard. And on this one, you can see that some of my skeins are low. So what I've done is I bought the pattern, I bought the fabric, and I pulled these from my stash. So when I run out of bamboo, I'll have to buy more, if that makes sense. So a lot of times Priscilla and Chelsea from Stitching with the Housewives use the same colors over and over, which is great because it saves me a lot of money. I don't have to go and buy all new skeins. So that's awesome. And then the next one is they have Stitching with the Housewives has a brand new series called Housewives Happy Hearts. And let's see. So there's 2. This one came out last week as a PDF. It's called Delivering Roses. And Valentine Bakery came out today. And they're going to have 4 ornaments that come out. Well, they're not ornaments, but 4 smaller pieces that come out in January that are Valentine related. So I'm going to stitch those in February because even if I stitch them in January, they're not going to be done for this year's decorating because I have to mail them to Priscilla to finish. So I'm just going to stitch these in February. So these are two of my finishes. Now, I see that she's stitched on blue. An equivalent would be Fabric Flare Aqua Dyed Effect 14 count, but I'm going to do mine on black. And the colors that I picked were from my stash. So I picked Bamboo, Really Tealy, Licorice Red, Jolly Holly, and then I picked Weeks Dye Works Blue Coat Red for the pink. So I am doing different colors. And of course, if on another ornament she comes out with another color, I'll just add. But I didn't buy anything. I pulled all of these from my stash from previous finishes, and I pulled this Blue Coat Red from the Pine Needles Christmas Stitch Along. So I'm trying to just use up what I have in my stash. So that's 2 projects. And then we had talked about this last week also. I'm working on Farmhouse Christmas by Little House Needleworks. I have changed the colors, and this is part 1. So I got to figure out which one is part 2. This is part 2. So I'm going to work on part 1, which is this, and in next week. And then this one will be the last week of February, and I'm going to do this as one day. So that's going to be kind of hard. So I can't really show you it done because I haven't started. So here's my fabric. My flosses we went over last week, but I will be using Beautiful Beige by Witchell, and I just picked my own Classic Colorworks, and you're going to be able to tell from here that these are from my stash because I combined like 3 or 4. When I'm done with a thread, I'll combine skeins. So you can tell that like I've already used, these are all from my stash. Like I barely have any Licorice Red left. So again, oh, and Gingerbread, I have like 4 strands. So again, I already had the patterns actually from a couple years ago, but most of the time I'm buying fabric and then using leftover floss. And I'm going to use so much leftover floss that at some point I'm going to have no floss, and that is not going to be good. Okay, so that is what I have for my finishes for Be Mine. Next week, we're going to show you other ideas so that you might see other designers. You might want to do other things that have a different look. And so that if you want to stitch with us through February and just stitch on different Valentine's things, we're going to show you some Lori stuff that we did previous years. Lots of things that I've done in previous years. So that you can mix it up and kind of mix and match what you are interested the most in. But I'm happy to answer any questions on any of the things that I just showed. And I need to put this back in my bag so I don't lose it.
From Caroline Borden, are you going to display monthly markings year-round at home?
Yes, I have no idea where I'm going to put it. I might put it here also at Fat Quarter Shop. I'm not sure where I'll put it. It's kind of long and skinny. So I don't know. I'll have to find a place. I don't know if I have a place that long and skinny at home. But yeah, I'm going to display it somewhere, either here or there. One of the two. But it's going to be pretty long. Yeah. I don't know if I have a wall that long.
From Amanda Badger, what is the 25 count Lugana equivalent for Graceful Gray?
So for Graceful Gray, 25 count equivalent, let's see what 25 count we have that might be Lori's. We'll look real quick. Overcast. And so Overcast would be very similar. I don't even know what the difference would be. I don't know if it would be lighter or not. I can't tell from the screen, but it looks very similar.
From Malia Hunter, what size did you cut your cloth from monthly markings?
I'll tell you. So for monthly markings, I like to leave 2 inches around, which is probably not enough. I really should use 3. So it finishes at 4 by 28. So we probably cut it 10 by 34, 35. Kind of depends. If I cut it, I usually cut it too short. If Denise cuts it, she usually cuts it the right size. So it's better if Denise cuts it because I usually end up with more. So what I will do is in my book, the first thing I do is I write out everything from the pattern, and I'll write my stitch count and then divide my stitch count by my fabric count, and then this is my finished size, and then from here that's how I decide what to cut. And you can either add 4 inches or 6 inches to each number, and that's also why I like to have it in here, because I'm gonna forget. And you can see like over here I have kind of planned my year. And so when I plan my year, you can see that like I know we're going to be doing a prim and proper stitch along, but I haven't figured out my fabric. So as I make a decision, I put it in here. But if I know it's in the future, I will put down what I know. And then when I go to this page, I'm going to know, oops, I still have not decided. So if that makes sense, I still haven't decided on that. But I do try to, you can see that in here, I have anything that we have kitted up or, you know, I already know is on my list. I already put it in here. And then as I stitch, I add to it, and once I write it in there, then I'm committed. I know I'm going to do it. And honestly, that's one of the ways I stay organized, because I cannot remember very much. Like yesterday I made a quilt. You could ask me today, oh, what'd you do? I don't know, just threw it together in 3 hours. You know what I mean? Like I do stuff so fast that I sometimes get lost in the process, and I cannot, because I do so much, I don't remember the nitty gritty. So having a book like this helps me with that.
From Sandy K, what would be a good 14 count Aida to use for the monthly sampler?
14 count beautiful beige. The monthly sampler from Sampler of the Month from Country Cottage Needleworks. She calls for beautiful beige. If you don't like beautiful beige, another option would be lamb's wool, which would be slightly lighter. And with lamb's wool, I don't think the white would show up as much. So beautiful beige is what I'm using and what the designer called for, if that's the one you're asking about. If you're asking about monthly markings, we used Venetian stone, which is darker.
And from Janet Hutcherson, how difficult would it be for a beginner to stitch vertically for monthly markings?
Oh, I don't think it would be hard, but your border would be whacked out, if that makes sense. So
oh yeah,
you're
you need to flip the letters.
Yeah, so here what you would do, this is horizontal, right? You would do it this way and face everything up. But if you did that, your border, you would have to basically either turn your words or continue this border all the way down, which you could do. You would just need a lot of graph paper. But I don't think it would be difficult. I mean, you would leave the same amount of space between each. Mm-hmm. But it just would be, you couldn't read that part, I guess. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense, Lily?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't think it would be difficult, but with the border,
you have to decide.
Yeah.
Lots of people were suggesting you hang your monthly markings above a door.
Yeah. One of the things about decorating in my house is we don't really hang things on the wall at all. Very few things are hung on the wall, except in my sewing room, because in my sewing room I can do what I want. But in the house, it's very like minimal. We have like one sign that says Jolly, established 2003. That's like, and we have a welcome sign. That's all that's on the wall. Except for like my kids' room, they have, a couple things. But, so that's kind of the problem, is we don't really have a lot of stuff. So I would probably put it on, we have a bookshelf. I might put it on a bookshelf and put it on 2 easels. It's kind of the attaching it to the wall. It's kind of like, okay, it's kind of like if you're somebody who's afraid of commitment. It's the same thing. I'm afraid of committing things to my wall, and that's the truth. Like, I really have to love it if I'm going to put a nail in the wall. And so I pretty much don't. That's kind of the problem.
That's great.
I think I'm telling y'all way too much.
You're good. From Caroline Borden, does anyone have a recommendation for an Aida fabric for Prim Stitch series?
So on that, we use Prim, do 14 count Lori Holes and see what comes up. You could do oatmeal 14 count. I don't know if the piece would be big enough to do it as one piece. That's the thing. With her Prim, she ordered that 25 count super big. So you just have to make sure that when you do the math, if you're doing it as one big piece, that it will fit.
Lots of people are saying you can use command strips. She doesn't like command strips.
I don't like them. Sorry. Lily knows.
Yeah.
Because I can see the command strips over there, and they're ugly, and they have to be there. But I just, yeah.
She puts up with it.
I do. I'm weird. I'm very weird. Like, oh yeah. My kids know, like, if there's not a hole in the wall that I haven't put, you're not putting stuff on the wall. We have to have the... Kevin doesn't care as much in the kids' room, but I care in the whole house. It's kind of one of those things that they're just like, oh, Mom, I know. So...
From Chris Stafira, the witch hilt 16 count that I have from Fat Quarter Shop is very soft and limp. Kimberly, I thought you preferred stiff cloth. Are there different types of witch hilt?
There are. The one that is soft is called Cafe something. We're going to look it up. And it's only like 6 or 7 of theirs that are soft. I don't think it's Country Fronts. It's Cafe. That's the color. It's called Cafe something. Oh, wait. Okay, so Denise thinks it's Country French. If it says Country French, that means it's softer. So I don't use those.
And then we had a super chat from Nita Pool for $10, and Nita said, when will the Serendipity cross stitch be available? Have my floss pack in navy Aida and ready to stitch. March
1st. So we moved it back because of fabric deliveries, and we want our quilting and our cross stitch to go at the same time.
And then another super chat from Goose Design Denise for $50. And Goose Design Denise said, we love Fat Quarter Shop XOXOX from me and Miss Gracie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I showed some of her bags earlier in the show. That's her piggy bag.
And Deb Glassitter says, what is the best way to break down a skein of CC thread to get the most variegation when stitching? I also do the loop method and do not seem to get much variegation. So you don't want, if you want to have a lot of variegation, you would pull your thread from the same exact skein. So you have 6 strands. You want to pull the 2 strands from that 6th strand, keep them the same exact way, and don't start with the loop method. Start where you stitch over your previous stitches, and you will get the most variegation, and also do 1x at a time. And I can do that like in like one of our stitchy talks. I can throw that in. One of you guys had asked if I could show on Sew by Row, which is the next thing we're going to talk about, if I can show something, and I'm going to show you what I am going to show you. So this is our next part, and in Sew by Row, oh, sorry, I have my line keepers going crazy here. So somebody had asked if I can show how to do this back stitch between the rows. So in one of our Stitchy Talk segments, I will show that
when we get closer to the end, just because I am going to keep this, I'm going to keep all the back stitch until the end. And so going into the next segment on Sew by Row, this is what we did the first week. Lily's going to pop up the picture that shows the next week. So this week we're going to work on the tomato pin cushions. Now on the pin cushions, you can see from Lily's photo that there are little back stitches connecting the pins on the top to the pin cushion. And you can see here that I don't have them. So I'm going to go ahead and do my whole row, and I'm going to add those at the very, very end. And when I add those, I can show you how I do them, and I can also show you this back stitch. And then I want to show you Lori, how Lori's doing hers. Lori has a brand new cloth. It's called Prairie 20 count cork linen. She is using DMC. She has her floss on her floss flowers, and she has her new Sew Day needle minder, and she's stitching 1/1, which is the equivalent of 40 count. So hers is going to be tiny. Now I am going to show you the cloth a little bit later in the show, and kind of how what the different things you can do with the cloth, and Lori's going to chime in and help me if I make a mistake. So I am excited. So next week I will have all of this done. I will probably, just so you guys know, what I'm probably going to do is I will probably do all these colors, and then I will come back and do the dark green all at once, and then the dots all at once. So I'll probably do the pin cushions all at once, and I'll probably finish that today, hopefully. So that is Sew by Row. And on that, I have everything on my beekeeper, and it's so pretty. And I keep one of these little bitty boards in a lot of my bags, and that kind of fell off. I'll just put it on the other needle minder. And I'm going to show you one more of those. Terry is also working on this. And here is Terry. Sorry, I'm dropping everything. Here is Terry. She is working on 28 count Lugana by Picture This Plus that she tea coffee dyed, and she is picking her own colors to use. So you can do a totally different look. You just saw my look, which is white. You saw Lori's, which is primitive, and then you saw this one, which is kind of 1800s. So let me know if you'll have any questions on Sew by Row before I go on. And I'm stitching mine on 14 count Aida Shadow, because I forgot to say that.
From Lynette Burnett, are the back stitches done with one strand or two?
I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's two, but I can't remember. It's on the pattern. Sew by Row. I think we use 2 strands, but I'm going to go over it. So just don't do the back stitches yet, and I think I talked to Cheryl about that, and we did 2 strands. But you can always do 1 if you want.
And from Edie's Rivera, is there a reason why in Sew by Row the colors in the chart are not similar to the real colors? Sometimes I get confused.
No, I mean, it's just a printer issue, probably. And there's a lot of similar colors, and so we try to make the symbols different, and, you know.
And then we had a super chat from Valeria Bauer for $19.99, and she put a little dancing pear that says "You are amazing" with a top hat and a cane.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Valeria.
Okay, so the next thing that I'm working on, that's kind of, we're getting into kind of my monthly stuff, is the Sampler of the Month by Country Cottage Needleworks. So I'm dividing this. I did this last week, this week, and then I'll do the bottom this week. And the bottom is the same as the top, just reversed. And then I'll need to add my back stitches. I don't think I'm gonna add, she has some windows on the house. Can you zoom in a little bit, Lily? I think I'm going to leave the windows off. It's hard to see them, but I think I'm going to leave the windows off. But I do need to add the back stitches. I'll probably use the colonial knots video that Cheryl did to remember how to do them and do them that way. And that'll be exciting because this next week I will have this done, and it'll be like one of my first finishes of the year. And this frame, we got them in stock. They sold out in one day. We ordered 100. We ordered 100. We received 25. They sold out. We have ordered a lot more, and we have not heard when more will come. And we're just as desperate to get them as you are. So we apologize, but we are working on getting more. So that is one thing I did this week. Another thing I worked on was Let's Talk Winter, which, let's see. It is by Hands On Design, and I'm using her called for colors on 14 count chalkboard black. So this took me a lot. It took me like almost 6 hours to do this week. So this was this week's. It was a lot. Now, this coming week, what I need to stitch is I'm going to stitch this little section right here. And then the week after, I'll do just this little section. I like how it looks. I did do the Let's Talk Autumn, and I had that framed in a really thick white frame. So I'm going to actually do the exact same thing on all four, as long as I like all the designs and stitch them this, you know, frame them exactly the same way. My framer was actually laughing because she was like, I think you've used every white frame in here. There are no more. I'm like, yes, I know. So I'm moving along on that, and I'm using called for DMC. I think it looks really nice. So let me know if you have any questions on any of that.
Let's see. I believe this was a question about sew by row. Amanda Badger said, is the backstitch rows done as a true backstitch or running stitch?
I think they're kind of the same thing. I don't really know the difference. So I'll show you what I do, and we'll just have to wait for that video because we're getting so many questions. But I will not do my back stitches until the very end of the project. So just wait until I do it, and you can see kind of what I did. And I'll also talk to Cheryl and see kind of how she did hers. And then I can show you her way, my way. They might be the same way. I don't know.
From Jerry Brashears, if a cross-stitch material is opalescent, does that mean it has sparkles? Example, opalescent white Lugana.
It means it has like these sparkles, but it's a thread sewn through the fabric. That's a sparkle. So like, you know how like there's a thread sewn in, that's a sparkle, right?
Yes, it's like part of the weave.
It's part of the weave, yes. I'm like, there's a word, yes. And I haven't stitched with it, so I don't know. I don't know how it does. Have I? I don't think I've stitched with it. I've bought some, and I'm just not brave enough yet to do it.
And then a few people have been wondering, since you don't put your cross stitch up on the walls, how do you display it?
Okay, so I display everything in my house on easels. I have 2 really huge bookshelves. They're huge. And I put all my kids' pictures, everything on those easels. I also, in my kids' rooms, they all have bulletin boards that are very big that they can put whatever they want on. And I also have some wooden boards on the wall that have small cork boards that they can pin what they want to, and then they can change it out. So it's not like they don't have anything on the walls. But pretty much everything is on easels. In my kitchen, on my bar area, I have easels. So there's easels everywhere. And I have one big, like long, skinny piece of furniture, and everything's on there on easels. So I have like cross stitch everywhere, or I put it on my fireplace on easels, on the bottom of my fireplace on easels. Everything's on easels. But I literally downstairs have 2 things on the wall except for my sewing room. My sewing room is just, I just do whatever because that's kind of, I can do whatever. But I guess you call it like minimalist. Like, I don't know, Lily, I don't know. Lily's been in my house. It's just very white.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know.
minimalist, simple,
I don't know.
clean. If you guys look at our cross stitch set right now, how all the pieces are displayed behind Kimberly, like that's pretty much
Oh, that's
it.
pretty much what I do. Yes.
Yeah, they're
correct.
all on easels.
Yeah, and that is what I do at home, actually, yeah. And this easel, I know exactly where I bought this easel because I know where to find the easels. They're all in Salt Lake City, Utah. Can't find any good ones in Texas.
And Lori Holt says, it's a regular back stitch, but it ends up looking like a running stitch because of the design. I designed it that way to look like the stitches because it's a sewing theme.
Good.
That's cool.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you, Lori.
Yes. Lori for the win.
Yes.
Okay, so this next part I'm so excited about. We're truly honored that Priscilla is doing this for us. So last year, this was our Bloom-Topia charity piece. So Priscilla has let us auction this off. Starting tomorrow, we're going to auction this piece off. Watch our social media for the listing. It's going to go live at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And we want to thank her because 100% of the proceeds are going to Make-A-Wish Central and South Texas. And we're grateful to Priscilla's creativity and generosity in donating this piece. I'm very excited. Last year, we raised $91,000 for Make-A-Wish. This year, we're hoping to get to $100,000, and the money from this is going to go directly to that campaign. We're already at almost $21,000. So please watch tomorrow. And of course, we're going to, we'll put it on the YouTube channel. We'll put it everywhere once it's live, and whoever bids the highest gets it. So I'm super excited. But it's so pretty. Do you want to zoom in and see?
Yeah.
She did stitch it on 32 count fabric. And the number is 7663-1012. So those are tiny stitches. When I was looking at the stitches, I was like, I don't even know how she could see that small.
Wow.
And this piece, if you're looking for this barn piece, it was at Walmart last year. I'm not sure if they still have it. So pretty. And I fluffed up the bow.
Yay. Fluffy bows.
Okay, so I'm going to take a break. Lily's going to come and show you her monthly markings. And I know some of you guys had some questions on, there was some questions on how, I don't know, digital stuff. So ask Lily because she knows and I have no idea. And I'll be right back. And Lily, there's a mess here. I'm sorry. We'll pull it out of the way.
No problem. Do. Hello. Oh, look at that. There's a little curl around on my forehead. That's cute. I didn't know that was there. Hello, everyone. Let me take my mask off. My name is Lily. Good to see everyone here today in the chat. I am going to move this right over here. And I wanted to show you guys, I started working on my monthly markings. Let me grab my phone here, cut to top camera. There we go. All right. So as you can see, I have upgraded to a Socialites binder. Very excited about that. And then I actually have my monthly markings right here. I have put it in the Beekeeper Binder Pocket Inserts by Lori Holt. I saw them online and I got super excited because I was like, oh, like I can just do like each month, like put each month in a single one. The pack comes with 5 of them, I believe. So I will have to buy a few more as the months go on, but they're super cool. So let me show you what I've been working on. As you can see, I've got my So Day Enamel needle minder. I have recently also learned about myself that I am obsessed with needle minders. So I might be buying more, but let me take my piece out here. So I am stitching on Breeze 14 count, also by Lori Holt, the vintage cloth. And I have really switched up the colors of the thread. I decided to use exclusively Gentle Arts just because I wanted to try Fancy Floss, and Gentle Arts had a lot of cool colors. And so we're just trying this. So this is my January. As you can see, I got most of my border done. Here's all of my conversions for my floss, and we can provide those later with a link. But for now, what I've replaced for this one So far what you're seeing is just the maple syrup, which I replaced with Moonlit Path. So that's actually right here. And these are all the, if you can kind of see, I kind of kitted it up in a way. These are all the ones that I'm gonna use for the snowman. So I was a little concerned about the white, but I think it's really gonna pop. So I'm really excited for that. So that's what I've been working on. I actually started stitching this yesterday during one of my breaks at work. And I mean, I've cross-stitched a little bit, but I still consider myself a beginner for sure. So it was actually super relaxing to just like do this border, and it was great. And then I felt super productive afterwards. And then, funny story, I was like, oh, I should try to diversify what needles I'm using, because the needles I've been using for cross-stitch so far are just like random ones that I've gotten in like DMC packs and stuff like that. So I had no idea what I was stitching on. So I searched around the film room and I went and I was like, oh, I'll try Kimberly's Pat Carson needles. Didn't realize I grabbed size 28 instead of size 26, which she uses, which is a lot smaller. So hilariously yesterday, here's the needle. I was like, wow, I am super impressed Kimberly can like stitch with this and thread it up. And I was like, how does she do it? But I poked myself several times,
Yeah.
Especially trying to thread it, but I ended up really liking it, so I'm just going to stick with it for at least this one and then go from there. But yeah, here's the packaging for it. That's what I get for trying to be sneaky and use stuff from the film room. But yes, I made it work, and it worked great, actually, so it was a blessing in disguise. As you guys can see, I also have the full monthly marking stuff here, the border. I've got my line keepers that I've been using. Lots of good stuff. And are there any questions? Let me cut back to front camera.
Amanda wants to know if you're using a hoop or if you're stitching in hand.
Oh, okay. So I started with stitching in hand because, as you can see, I'm doing them individually. Like, it's a small square that I've cut out from the Breeze. Also, I will need a pack from the Breeze, side note, because I was able to cut 9 of the months out, like what I'm going to be using for each one, with leaving like a 2.5-inch border for my finishing. Sorry, what was the question? I digressed.
Hoop or stitching in hand.
Hoop or stitching in hand. So, because it's little, I decided to try stitching in hand because I quickly realized, now that I've cut them all out, I don't have a small hoop. I have a 7-inch tension hoop that definitely doesn't fit it. So I'm going to try the stitching in hand for now. It was a little slow for me to start since I'd never done it before. I am going 1x at a time because it's variegated thread. So that's also different for me. I've just used DMC in the past, so it's just been like, just, you know, do multiple stitches at a time instead of 1x at a time. But yes, so I will update if I start using a hoop.
Did you do a loop method on it?
I did not do a loop method on it. I did the tails and then like hid the tails into my stitches as I went. So that was another thing I had to think about with doing just the border and going around. Yeah, was that good? All right, thank you for having me. Let me find my mask here. It's stuck to my phone. I got a new phone. Woo! It's the Pixel 5. And now I will hand it back over to Kimberly. Doo-doo-doo.
Does Pixel 5 mean Google?
Yes, it's a Google phone. Me and Nova have the same phone.
Oh.
I realized that yesterday.
Someone did ask how long the auction is going to last. So it is going to be 9 days. It ends January 23rd. And again, it's on eBay. Yay! Okay, so the next part I'm super excited about. We showed this on Friday's quilting. So we are doing a fundraiser for Black History Month, and the money is going to go towards the sale of this pattern. All of the proceeds will go to the UNCF, which mission is to increase the total number of African American college graduates. And this one has 2 patterns for $9.98. So it's awesome because you get 2 patterns for one. So this one is based on the quilt. We are going to have a stitch along that is going to be in February. And we have a pop-up that's going to show you. So on this one, we put the dates where you should be finished. So for February 3rd, we would want you to have this part finished, and then the next week this part, and then this part, and then the 24th. Now we encourage you to use any kind of floss you would like, and Kevin and I are going to donate everything for the sale of the quilt pattern, which the quilt is very similar, and I'm super excited. And on this, I want to give credit. This one was stitched by Terry. Both of these were stitched on Aqua Dyed Effect 14 count using DMC. And we have all the information on how to frame both of these on our blog, and Cheryl stitched this one for us. So thank you to Terry and Cheryl, and then Ashley's going to be stitching along with us.
Woohoo! Go Ashley.
And so any questions you have on this, I'm happy to answer, but if it's on framing, we put it all on the blog now. This frame, just to kind of show you, is from Michaels, but it's a frame that has an inset in it. But what Denise did is we just put it on top with our sticky board and our stitchery tape. So it just sits up. You can see the bump. So instead of going inside, it just goes on top. And then this is just a standard frame. So let me know if y'all have any questions. Again, we stitched both on Aqua Dyed Effect. We have a thread pack. The thread pack comes with a bracelet, which is to symbolize the meaning of what we're doing here. And when we're out of thread packs, we're not going to be able to make more because DMC has been closed for a while, and we sold these faster than we thought. So we're getting low on the thread packs. And the quilt, I will just show you. I can't show you on the table, so I'll just stand up and show you. So this is the quilt, and if you would like to know more about the design process of this, watch Fat Quarter Shop's video last Friday. Jocelyn Ung is the one who designed it for us, and she, if you go to 1 hour and 3 minutes to 1 hour and 10 minutes, she talks about all of this and how she designed it and the colors and everything.
Yeah, no, it was a wonderful talk with Jocelyn last week. Okay, and questions, waiting for some to roll in. Oh, from Crafting a Plan Live, is there another cloth you could recommend for Stronger Together if you're not using the blue?
So I think it really needs to pop. So I would suggest something bright. You could also do just a Witchell that's blue, but I feel like the Witchell blues are more of a baby blue. If you did a navy blue, of course, you could do navy blue and then change the black and the navy to be a white or red or pink. I just think it looks so good the way it is that it's hard to, I don't know, for me it's hard to imagine it in a different color.
And going back to some previous questions here from Sharon Shergold, do you find if you railroad when you have to rip out, it takes longer? I ended up just cutting the whole thing.
No. But I cut, whenever I have to pull out a lot of stitches, I cut short anyway. And you can see in my very first Stitchy Talk how I do that. And it does waste thread, but it saves me time.
Okay.
Sorry, I have the hiccups.
From Lisa Hagen Sanders, do you sell the plastic pages for the binders?
Yes. They are called Beekeeper Binder Pocket Inserts, and they're by Lori Holt. And so what she made those for was she has some applique shapes that she sells for her free applique sew-alongs, and so you could put all your applique shapes in there, but of course, you know, we're going to use them for all kinds of things.
Ooh. But do we sell also just the sheet protectors?
Sheet protectors, no, those are from Office Depot, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I probably answered the wrong question there.
No, you're good. I wasn't sure.
From your binder, did you have sheet protectors?
I have both, yeah.
Okay, yeah, those are just straight. You can buy them like in a box of 50 at like Office Depot or Staples.
Yeah. And from Cindy Perez, what fabric was used for January Sampler of the Month Country Cottage Needleworks?
Beautiful beige 16 count. And I will say that it is a little bit harder for me. I go a lot slower on 16 count because I'm used to 14 count. And like Lily was talking about, I have been using the size 28 Pat Carson needle just because it's a little bit sharper and pointier, so I can like go faster, but I'm still I'm much slower on the 16 count. I don't know if I'll get faster through the year, but I am getting frustrated because I'm like, oh, I want to be done. You know, I want to be able to go faster. I'm a little bit of a creature of habit, and so when I get outside my comfort zone, sometimes I get a little fussy.
From Rebecca Lallier, I haven't cross-stitched in 30 years and I'm going to start up again with the Stronger Together quilt pattern. What size Q-snap should I use?
I would get an 8x8 because, yeah, it finishes at 4.75 by 4.75, 4 3/4. So I would do 8. You could do 6. I just think you might get a little close to the edge. Your stitches might get a little too close to the Q-snap. So next, what we have to show you, it's very combo of quilting and cross stitch, but I wanted to show it to you anyway because I'm so excited about it. You know, Kevin and I buy fabric for a living. I mean, honestly, that's what we do. And when I saw this like 6 months ago, I about died and went to heaven. So this fabric, I absolutely love because it's, I don't know, it's just like all the colors. And so it is all of the Bella Solids. I have it upside down, but so let me switch it. It's all of the Bella Solids with the names. And I just love it for the back of a quilt. I can't wait to use it, and it just came in, and I'm so excited about it. But we did a blog post on the Jolly Jabber, and we came up with projects to use this fabric, and they're all free patterns. One of them does use a ruler but all of the rest are free patterns that can be used with your cross stitch. So I'm going to show them to you, and I'm going to take this bolt home because I can't wait to use it. Can't wait to make something with it. I love it. It's like so pretty. So the first thing that you can make with this that is for cross stitch is this Easy Whip project bag. So I did a video on our quilting channel back before we had the FlossTube, which was a separate channel, and I show you how to make this. So we just took some Bella Solids. If you follow our blog, you can look up exactly what zipper, of course I use By Annie zippers, exactly what Bella Solid is here. And so this could be great to hold all of your whips. You could also make a face mask. And that'd be so awesome because you'd go into Starbucks and they would be like, what does the red stand for? It's a good talk. It would be, I wouldn't wear it because I wouldn't want somebody to talk to me.
It's a conversation starter.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And you know what's funny is I went into Starbucks today. I went to Starbucks twice on the way here.
Sorry.
I had to get some tea, and then I was like not feeling so great. So I was like, well, let me stop at another Starbucks to get a hot chocolate. And I walked in and they were like, Kimberly, we don't have a black tea for you. And I was like, oh, because I ordered something different. So I'm like the lady that they know what I'm going to order, which is really bad. The next thing is so cute. This is a video that we filmed. Now, all of these videos are on our quilting channel, and they're all free. This is the Petit Four basket, and By Annie came and showed us how to make these. So these would be great to store your like your leftover threads, or you could even put your needle in here. Let's see. You could put like a needle minder in this, or if you want to be, oops, I just put that in the middle of that. You could just do like that and keep your needle in there. And these would be great because you could just put a couple of these around your house. So wherever you sit, you can have your little storage, and they're cute. And we put different Bella Solids on the tops. So those are cute. And this is my favorite. This is, we did this video several years ago. It's called Single Scoop Zipper Bag. Dana Willard designed it, and you can store your floss in here. And if you want something even bigger, Jara Brandevig did this video for us years ago, and it's the Le Connor tote bag. So all 5 of these videos are on the Fat Quarter Shop YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to. But I just thought, you know, these really relate to cross stitch too. And I know a lot of you don't watch our Friday channel, so I thought, you know, I'm gonna just show it on both. So super cute, and I just love the fabric.
From Chris with many, what is the repeat length of the Moda dot fabric?
It just goes and goes. I don't know. I bet, okay, so the way those machines are made overseas, they usually repeat at 24 or 36. But I don't know. But it's got to be something that's mechanically, yeah, it's just a running. I wouldn't even think of it that way. So if I had to guess, I would say 24 or 36 because that's the way they have to do the fabric to be made.
And from Mary Lou Kleiner, is monthly markings done on a whole piece of Aida, or is it done individual pieces like Lilly showed?
So you can do it either way. Lily's doing hers individually. I'm doing mine as one big piece. And where's my binder? Okay, the piece that I'm using, we cut off of the bolt so that we could get a wider piece than a fat quarter. And the SKU number on that is 357-382. So you just need to make sure you have something that's wide enough.
And follow up from Mary Lou Kleiner, if stitched individually, how do you get it to look like a whole piece in the frame?
You can't. You would have to, if you do it individually, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, for mine, I'm planning on finishing them all separately, so it's not going to look like one big piece.
And this is the one big piece right here. So this is the colorway that I'm making, and then over here I can show you the colorway that is called for in the floss if you want to make it exactly like the designer did. So this is the colorway that Cecilia did, who is the designer. So for our previous finish feature, we were going to show the January cottage of the month, which is right here. I stitched that on 16 count Aida, and it kind of was small for the frame, so, and I bought the wrong fabric. So like my January and February are stitched on 16 count, and then my March through December are stitched on 14 count. So that is our previous finish feature, and then we're going to show you our club feature, which we just got in the mail. This is the pattern for the previous finish. Of course, it's Country Cottage Needleworks, and I stitched the entire series using 16 or 14 count lamb's wool, and I used DMC on all of them.
Is that lamb's wool and Aida? Sorry.
Yes, Aida, 16 or 14 count Aida, depending on what month it was. And I didn't do that on purpose. It was just a freak accident. So this is Prim Stitch Series number 7, and you can stitch this as a whole. Do we have Lori's picture? So you can stitch this as a whole piece or individually. So I'm stitching these individually. Lori is stitching them as a whole. This is the brand new number 7 called Faith and Endurance. If you're part of the club, your pattern has shipped out, and if you're not, you can buy the pattern separately. So Lori is taking what I stitch, and she is framing them for me. This is her medium frame, and we put this on the back, which is her library card. And we are now putting on the back of the pattern what we're painting it, which means Lori. So this is Baby Chick Farm Girl paint. This is her Prim fabric, and this is her Be Natural lace. So this is number 7, so we've only got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 more to go. So super exciting, and the big question I have for myself is I'm gonna have 12 of these. I don't know where I'm going to put them. I think I'm going to take one big wall at work and put them all on a wall here, because I'll probably have a heart attack if I put those at my house. And then one other thing that I wanted to tell you guys that you have asked Priscilla and I, when we do the Stitch Quarterly subscription box, Priscilla frames those for us 3 months before it goes out. And last time, I guess what she framed it with was sold out. So you guys have asked for us to tell you in advance what piece she used. So for the next one that is shipping in March, I'm going to tell you the item number she framed it on if you want to get it now. It is from Hobby Lobby, and the number is 1957422. She also put that on her blog. So there's that. And our flash sale for today, I just dropped, of course, is Salt Box Scriptures by Little House Needlework. So this is on sale today. And then we have a bunch of new items that I want to show you. The first thing I've already shown you is our calendar. So I'm going to flip through our calendar and just show you. It's just a plain calendar, and this is free. So we put this together so that if you want to track your quilting or your cross stitch or anything you do, like if you're a runner and you want to write down how much you run each day, you can use these. It's completely free, and we just made it generic for the entire year so that we could get that done for you. And we put a cute little DMC color just for fun to have something cross stitch there. So that's new, completely free. We have a couple other new items. This is Be Mine by Priscilla and Chelsea of Stitching with the Housewives. If you pre-ordered, it shipped along with this. Now I will be stitching this as part of the Be Mine series, and of course you could also stitch this one. And the March truck came, so I've got to start that. My goal is by May 1st or June 1st, one of the two, to have my entire Trucking Along series done. And Priscilla did show all of my changes, all of my finishes on Facebook, and I'm so excited. It took me like 8 hours to find it because I'm never on Facebook. But I love all her finishes, and we'll get to show those in a future week because she's mailing those back to me. So super excited about that. And this one is going to be a 12-part series by Cottage Garden Samplings. So this one, she is stitching on 40 count, which makes it super small. I'm not a 40 count person, but if you stitch it on 40 count, it's going to end up 5 by 6.5. If you're more of a Kimberly person and stitch on 14 count, it's going to be 7 by 9, so it would fit an 8 by 10 frame. There's going to be 12 of these, and they're going to all be related, and she does talk about how if you put them all as one piece, but I just can't even imagine. But it's very popular. We got a lot of requests for this, so I just wanted to show it. It's a lot of stitching. And then Waxing Moon, we showed January through March. Now we have April through June. And then the Christmas Block Stitch Along by Pine Mountain. She now has this as a printed pattern. So during December, she gave it out as free, and now she has it as a paid pattern. You can get it either as paper or PDF. So we had a lot of people asking about that. I'm happy to answer any questions, and then I am going to play a little bit with Lori's brand new cloth at the end. Because we just got it yesterday when I was at home sewing a quilt. So it's the first time I've seen it is in the last hour.
From Sharon Shergold, will Fat Quarter Shop be getting the actual Bella color charts with color swatches again?
Yes, they are out of print right now, and it will be a while. They are not in stock because I'm the one that does the ordering. And on the website, it doesn't have an expected date, which they always put the expected date when they know it. So it's going to be a while because there's no date in their system yet. And this fabric is digitally printed, which means it's not going to be an exact match. It's more for decor, not for an exact match.
And Amanda Badger actually has a question that I had. If you purchase needles with multiple sizes, how do you know what size the needle is? Is there a needle gauge tool? Or like if you just have random ones that you don't know where they came from?
I don't think so, because all needles are different lengths and different widths. So I have no idea. I would think it would go 24, 26, 28. And the smaller it gets and the skinnier it gets, it would be 28. And then the 24s would be fatter. So it would be kind of a guess, I would think. Because not all needles are the same length, and especially the eye hole. That's why Pat Carson's are more popular, is because they're easier to thread because the eye is bigger than like a Bowen.
From Mary Lou Kleiner, can I order the larger piece of Aida like Kimberly's using for monthly markings?
Yes, and the number is, I just said it, but I don't know. Here it is. Sorry. Monthly markings. 357-382.
Yay.
So basically on that one, Denise ordered bolts, and then we cut big pieces, and we cut it more like a half yard type cut, or a little bit more than a half yard. So I do have a lot left over from that piece that I will turn into other things throughout the year to show you how to use the extras.
From Caroline Borden, does lamb's wool have a yellow tint?
To me, it's more of a cream. I don't think it has yellow at all.
I agree.
Okay, good. Because
Yeah.
I was like, it's more of a cream.
From Denise Marie, when the Prim Stitch series is over, will you be selling them as a set?
Yes. And we will also sell it as a full PDF. But it will be a while after it ends.
And earlier question from Robin Dune, did you guys get snow?
We did. I couldn't believe it. My kids went nuts. And we went outside and they wore shorts all day outside, and they refused to put on pants. And I just said, okay, you're old enough. If that's what you want to do, then you do it. They had a snowball fight with Kevin. I definitely did not partake in that. And my daughter was like, she was like pretending she was going to throw a snowball at me. And I was like, oh no, we're going to have to, no. Because I'm like not a very, like, I don't like it cold. We did go for a walk in the snow, because I was like, well, I'll go for a walk, but I'm not going to be out here in the middle of a snow fight. It was pretty thick at our house, a lot thicker at our house than like here. I think we got like a good 3 inches.
Yeah.
I was going to go outside with the Creative Grids ruler and measure it, and I was like, no, I just can't bring myself to do it.
Stick it in. That's
I was just like, I can't bring myself to go outside one more time. It was so cold. Well, I knew it was going to snow, but I really didn't believe it. And so I thought, well, I got to get up in the morning because I got to get my Starbucks. And by the time I got up, which was not late, it was like, I didn't know if it was sleeting or raining, because I don't know the difference. I just heard it and was like, yeah, no, I'm not going outside. So for lunch, Kevin drove us we got some sandwiches, and I let him drive because he is from Illinois, so he knows how to drive in snow. And I don't. So I was like, please take me. And then, of course, the place I picked for lunch was next door to Starbucks, so that I could secretly get a Starbucks.
nice.
He, of course, knew what I was doing, but that's okay.
That's great. I will say I was really happy seeing everyone tried to build a snowman, and the snowmen were still up a day afterwards because they were packed with snow.
Okay, so my son did we have a trampoline, and he took we couldn't get the snowman to work because we couldn't get it to pack. So, and I think they were just so interested in the snowball fight that they just, anyway, it's like a thing of snow. It's still there.
Yeah.
He put it like where the sun doesn't shine. And so when I left this morning and I was getting my Yeti cup, his pack of snow is still there.
They're so cute. They were all tiny too, because, Texas, we don't really know how to build snowmen, I think.
Well, and then my mom sent me a text from her house of the snow, and I was like, oh, that does not look like our house. Because we had like a lot of snow, and she hardly had any. I was like, oh, well, that's very different.
That's interesting. I had a lot.
We had a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play with this now.
Yeah.
So this came in. This is a brand new cloth. Now, Lori loves to stitch on 40 count. and higher cloth, whereas I like my 14 count. So this is 20 count cork. So I'm going to show you some different ways that you can stitch on this. It's 100% linen, and there's 4 different things you can do, or 3 different things you can do. I'm gonna just play around with some thread. And we're gonna, oh, this is, we're looking for some scissors real quick. I'm gonna cut my thread shorter though. Thank you. And this is me for the first time playing with this, and I'm not an expert, so Lori's gonna pipe in. So when she stitches with Sew by Row, she's stitching 1/1. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. This needle's probably too thick for it, but we're gonna just go with it. So if you wanna stitch 1/1, I'm going to do a little bit of stitching 1/1. This would be the equivalent of 40 count, which is what Lori's doing for Sew by Row that we showed earlier in the show.
Why is the fabric called cork?
It's just the name that, it's not cork, it's linen, but it's just the name that cross stitchers came up with. It's the industry name.
Okay.
Maybe it kind of looks like cork. So I don't have my light or anything, and I'm able to see these holes. So this is, if you're gonna buy this and you wanna do 1/1, I would use a size 28 needle. Right now I have a size 26 needle. I do have a 28 next to me, but I just don't feel like getting it out. So I'm gonna show you some stitches. I'm gonna do 6 stitches. The good thing is I'm able to see this. The holes are much thicker. So that's 4, 5, something is off there. Oh, there. 6. So this is my first time ever even messing with this fabric. So if you do want to do 1/1, this is how it's going to look, and I can see the holes, which is good news. So this would be the equivalent of 40 count. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go down and we'll do other stuff. And this is if you want something a little bit different. So Lori likes to stitch on a higher count. So this was a way that she could do cloth that could appeal to all level of cross stitchers, and I'm going to show you why in a second. And I don't have my magnifier, so I'm so happy that I can see the holes. So that's 1/1. Super small. Now, if you want to do it like 20 count, you would do 2/2. So now I'm going to just cut this thread just because I don't need it, and I'm going to get 2 threads.
So right now you're doing 1 strand, correct?
I was doing 1 strand over 1 square. So if you think of this cloth, what you're going over is the number of strands you need. So if you're going over 1, you need 1 strand. If you're going over 2 squares, you need 2 strands. So this one, I'm going to start with the loop method, because when I start with the loop method, that's going to give me 2 strands instead of 1 strand. There you go. So that's, I'm going to start with 2. Now I normally would start with a much longer thread, but since we're doing this, it's just for fun.
Oh, it's funny. Lori Holt said pipe, since you said she would pipe up.
Oh.
She's saying pipe. She also said the cloth is called cork and the color is prairie.
So now I'm going to do 2/2, 2 strands over 2 squares. And this is the equivalent of 20 count. And this is just something, if you want to try something different for a different look. The good thing about it is I'm able to see the holes for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the type, but I am able to see the holes, which is always a good thing, because that's why I don't like to use linen, is because I cannot see the holes. So on this, I'm able to see the holes. So that is 2/2. So that's a different look. Okay, now I'm gonna do 10 count. So if you want to do something similar to vintage cloth, which is her 10 count, we're gonna do 4/4. So on that, you would take 4 strands, which right now, I'm going to do 2 strands, loop, which is going to give me 4. Let's see. Okay. Now, if you want this to be the look of like a 10 count, do we have anything in here that was stitched on 10 count? You would go over 4,
Yes.
which is hard to do. I'm gonna kind of try to do it with no magnifier. Perfect. I don't know that I'm doing it right though.
Yeah, Lori had said it's the same as 10 count if you are going over 2.
Oh, okay, so that's 10 count. So ignore what I'm doing right now. See what I'm doing right now I don't need to do.
That would be 5 count?
I don't know what that is. It's called Kimberly doesn't know what she's doing count.
Oh.
So there we go. Okay, so let me show you this. So this is our snapshots. This is Lori Holt Vintage Cloth Color Farmhouse. 10 count, and you see 1 square. So if you do this, I knew Lori would catch me. That's the same thing, but look at the different look you get. You get more of that linen look. So that's just something fun, different.
So the different look is the reason you would stitch over 2 instead of just buying a 10 count?
Right.
Okay.
Because you want, like if somebody wants the feel of, you know, something that looks harder or has more texture. So that was kind of fun.
Pokey Little Pineapple is asking, the fabric looks soft, is it?
No.
Stiff?
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels like linen, like a thicker linen. Kind of, it doesn't feel like cork. It just, yeah. It's really pretty though. And I have said it's the year of Aida, but I might have to try this.
I mean, it can be like the main things are Aida.
The what?
Oh, just you're mostly stitch on Aida, and that's why it's a year of Aida.
Oh, then I'm cheating.
Yeah.
See, she's trying to teach me to cheat.
Find loopholes. Anyways, Marianne Lucas said, Lilly, Irish linen is sometimes named after a county in Ireland, and there is a county called Cork.
Okay.
So maybe it comes from there.
I've never been to Ireland.
I haven't
I'm
either.
like 20 or 30% Irish though.
Oh, that's cool.
I did my ancestry stuff and I was like all white. I was like, I don't have anything that's not white. I just thought it was weird. Like, I'm from Texas, and like I know the most I know is my grandma. One of my grandmothers came from France because they like immigrated for religious persecution, and then my grandfather came from Tennessee. But then my other side, I don't know anything. So I was kind of interested to know. And I thought I would have more French because my grandmother came from France, but I had very little.
And question from Carmen G. Will this come in other counts?
So the cork linen will come in other colors, but I think the linen's only made in 20 count, but Lori can answer.
Okay.
Sorry, I said Lily. Sorry, Lori.
Yes, I cannot answer.
She can guess.
Yes.
So guys, thanks for watching. I've had a lot of fun today. Next week I'll come back with more Valentine stitching ideas, and I hope you join me then.
Bye, everyone.